This interview was made possible by our friends at My Corporation. Visit mycorporation.com, online incorporation, LLC, and trademark services. Hey everyone, I'm Mike Sullivan. Thanks for joining us today on mo.com, where we feature small business owners and entrepreneurs and then bring you hints, tips, insights, and perspectives on what it takes to be successful. Joining us today is Doug Feirstein of uSell. uSell is the leading cash commerce platform that allows consumers to trade in their used or unwanted cell phones for cash. Doug, thanks for joining us, and as I usually like to kick things off with, can you tell us a little bit about your background and what kind of led you up to where you are today?
Yeah, well, I mean, it really started probably when I was 11 years old, and I'd stay home sick from school, and I'd be addicted to watching infomercials and direct response TV, and then it, moved on to being enamored by classified ads and just anything that, was an advertising that garnered instant response that could be analyzed. And I think it just has to do with my genetic makeup of being sort of half analytical and half creative. And this gives me a way of sort of combining both and, leveraging that to build businesses. So out of school, I started working for some small mail order companies. My goal was always to be an entrepreneur and have start my own companies, but felt like I had to sort of go to school of hard knocks to really learn how businesses operate from the ground up. Started working for some small direct marketing companies, doing everything from packing and shipping, answering phones, basically any job that they would give me. And sort of moved up into bigger direct marketing companies, started getting involved a lot in the catalog companies. And then after that, started doing consulting and ended up working for a direct response TV company that was selling products and services on TV. And interestingly enough, one of the services that they were advertising was the Kenny Kingston Psychic Network, which had all these people working from home, answering calls for these infomercials, advertising, psychic readings. And that really gave me the idea for my first company, and that was LiveOps, which was one of the first virtual at-home call centers that initially was taking calls for the direct response industry. And it sort of leveraged the idea from the fact that these psychics would work at home and answer calls for these calls for psychic readings that were generated from the infomercials. And I, as the internet, became more prevalent, thought, is there a way for us to, leverage that same concept but have them answer calls for really anything advertised on TV? Such as, products. And that was sort of the impetus for my first company.
I really love the idea behind uSell. I mean, I have 3 or 4 cell phones laying around myself that I no longer have any use for, and technology is changing faster than I can keep up with it. Where did the idea for uSell come up?
So the idea for uSell really has been an iterative process, but it started with this initial vision back in 2006 when I tried to sell some stuff on eBay. That really trying to sell your own stuff is hard. And initially the vision was to make it easier for the general consumer to be able to sell their stuff and get cash for that without having to deal with all the hassles of sort of the traditional, or at least the ways that existed back then in the peer-to-peer selling like eBay. And at first we started, it was every product. And like with any business, as we sort of hit different challenges head on, we realized that we kind of had to narrow our focus into products and services that we had a clear secondary market and there was a high demand. And that's sort of how we ended up focused in the consumer electronics vertical, because everybody has phones. Like you said, you have 3 or 4 phones. Virtually everyone I talk to says the same thing. And it was a great way for us to really leverage mass marketing through direct response to drive demand for the service, but there's also a clear secondary market for it. So that's really where the idea for uSell came from.
What do you do with the phones that you receive? I realize not all of them are probably still of value. What do you do with the different types of phones that you get?
It's really sort of 3 avenues they could go down. For the high-end phones that are in good condition and still in high demand, so the more current technology, they're going to go down directly back into e-commerce. So we're going to do all the hard work of selling it directly to consumers through eBay, Amazon, through our own, direct-to-consumer sites. Then there's the next tier of phones, which maybe need some refurb or need to be sold in bulk to big companies that use refurb phones for either replacement phones, like companies like Asurion, or can be wholesaled into other countries if they're on GSM network, non-CDMA phones. And then the last sort of channel is for the real low-end phones that really have no value, but we offer to recycle them responsibly. And those are bulked up and go to, companies that break down for parts and, environmentally, in environmentally friendly ways, discard with the waste materials.
You've also formed an angel investing fund. Tell me about your inspiration for doing that and some of the companies you've invested in.
I had, a tremendous amount of success with live ops. I was also very familiar with building a successful startup, as a young entrepreneur, and what the challenges are as far as legal formation of the company, having partners and raising capital, and sort of as my give back, I wanted to help up and coming new entrepreneurs sort of handle those challenges, as well as probably the biggest challenge as a young entrepreneur is how do you fund that business. So that was the inspiration. Some of the companies that I've invested in, I'd say some of the more successful ones, a company called Mojiva, which is a mobile ad platform. A company called Pixatsa, which helps tag images across big publishing sites so that people could roll over them and see what type of handbags or clothing different maybe actors or actresses are wearing in a picture, and then lead them into e-commerce sites. Another successful company, Igniter.com, which is now one of the largest group dating sites in India. And another company, ReadyForce, which was founded by one of my co-founders in Live Ops, and they're basically changing the way people staff and leveraging technology to sort of disrupt a sleepy staffing industry.
Tell me what characteristics you look for in startups when deciding whether or not to invest.
Right. I think the most important characteristics I look for are the founders. I think they have to have an idea that potentially can make money, but ultimately I invest in the people more than I do the actual idea, because it really comes down to executing on that idea, and do they have the capabilities to do that?
You have a strong record as an entrepreneur. What are some of the challenges you've faced along the way?
I think probably the biggest challenge as an entrepreneur is focus. As an entrepreneur, you're constantly thinking of new ideas and ways to sort of take advantage of opportunities. So it's being able to pick and choose the right things to focus on and then executing them in a disciplined way.
Doug, I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you very much.
It was great meeting you. Thanks, Mike.